Starting live, there we go.
All right.
Well, rotate your device. You can't turn your phone while live.
Got it. Got it.
I wonder if anyone's here. We're just figuring out how to do this Facebook Live thing. We have another minute before we get started.
We do, and we're trying to figure out.
Oh, comments. See, comments will appear here.
That's just fine. That is just fine. What I don't see is this happening here.
I'm going to move this just a little.
Stop. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
I wanted to. The lighting is pretty dull right here. I'll just. Very dark.
Okay. What do you think? You're not going to get much because we don't have a good. We do not have
That's
a good
a little
setup.
bit better. So okay.
Move that.
All right.
Okay. Good.
All right. Well, gosh, it's 11 o'clock. So
Yes.
here we are.
Oh, hi.
We are live. Hi, my name's Carol Himelhoch,
Steve Ball.
and this is our first live session. And what we thought we would do is just share our story. Those of you who've been coming to our Facebook Himelhoch Department Store Facebook page realize that we're back, and so some folks have asked questions about, well, how'd you decide to do this? So we thought that we would share our story, how we came about all getting involved with all of this.
Oh, and it looks like we're sideways on the page.
It really does. I think maybe we should try rotating the phone.
Hold on, folks. We're going to see what happens when we do some of this.
We're learning.
Yes,
I
we
guess
are.
this Facebook app likes you to be vertical, not horizontal.
Rotate your device. Can't turn your phone while live.
Oh, all right. Well, this is good.
Oh, yes, I could. Huh. What happens if we do that?
Nope. I
Nothing.
think we're locked into.
To that? That's not going to work. No. This is a mess.
Well,
Wait,
let's put it back.
Wait, there we are.
Oh, okay. It came around. All
So
right.
now it's a matter of how do I put this back in.
Oh, hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan. All right, we're going to
Bear
try
with
this
us
again.
here, Megan. This is our first live broadcast. Whew.
I think we might have it.
But you know what? I think we're frozen in the.
No, we're not.
All right.
No, we're not.
All right,
This
we're
is the
here.
lifetime.
Hi, guys. Hi, Megan. It's great to see you.
Okay.
Well,
Where were we?
yeah, we're sharing how we came up with the idea of starting Himelhoch again. So I don't know where to get started. Well,
20 years ago.
maybe even growing up. I'm gonna take us way back.
Okay.
Growing up, I obviously Himelhoch was my family business. I'm a what? Thanks, Megan. So I grew up all the time. People would when I was introduced to them, those would say, "Oh, are you any relation to the store?" And I said yes, and it always made me happy to realize that people knew Himelhoch and they'd hear such I don't know, they'd tell me such wonderful things about the store. So I always appreciated it. I never took it for granted, but at the same time, it was something that was a common experience for me. So now we fast forward.
Fast forward
Steve and I have been together for about 20
years. Yep. And
Yeah.
I did the same thing when we first met. Are you connected to the store? And, we had that whole conversation. And it just surprised the heck out of me. Every time we would go somewhere with your family, or especially with your mom and dad, because they're larger than life and they fill up the room, and everybody in the restaurant would pretty soon kind of meet who they were, and they never said anything about, oh yeah, we're with the store, but people would often get very excited, oh, were you with the store? And then they would pour out their great memories of the store. I love the store. You always had such nice clothes. It was such a great experience shopping there. And for the last 20 years, that's still been going on. People just really remember the store very, very fondly.
And so it's pretty funny because it was last summer, the middle of last summer. It continued to happen. We were members of the Detroit Yacht Club. We meet new people. And as we did that, again, they'd hear my last name, any relation to the store. They'd say, all of this. And Steve and I, and then my brother Chip, too, we were talking and we said, the brand itself it's still alive in the minds of many people. And as I think about it, so I grew up in the family business. I worked at the store. When you have a family business, it's so much a part of your life. It's just a way of life. And, oh, hello, Donna. How are you?
Hi.
Donna, so nice to see you. Welcome. So anyway, it was a way of life. And through that process, I realized that I have a lot of knowledge about the business. I worked in the business. I was around it all the time. And I realized that I have a deep connection not only to my parents who ran the business, but also my grandparents. And I'd never met my great-grandfather Wolf, but certainly my grandfather was one of the 4 Himelhoch brothers. So all of that tradition I have this deep connection to, and I'm grateful for that, because I realized that I was taught so much about the values of what it meant to be Himelhoch. High quality merchandise, excellent customer service, supporting the community. When I think about terms that people use to describe Himelhoch,
we've had a lot of fun. If I could interrupt for a second, and kind of, you've been going through and learning more about the family history. And some of the things that your dad and your grandfather were involved in. I mean, they were, not to run through a list, but they were involved in a lot of the major efforts to improve Detroit in the mid-20th century. You don't want to do that.
I don't.
No, cancel it.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
We're typing with things.
I see that I have the ability to invite people in on camera.
We're experimenting, but we won't do it on your time.
Sorry.
We won't turn this into hash here.
Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. So it's interesting how your dad and your grandfather were really involved in many of the major civic initiatives that took place in Detroit. Himelhoch was the family wasn't just making a profit and walking away. There was always a giving back to the community, which is really good. We really like that.
They were deeply involved with the community and
they were.
Part of Detroit.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny too, because as we were thinking about doing this, I started searching the internet just to see what comments were out there about Himelhoch. And by the way, Himelhoch is how the store was always pronounced, even though our family pronounces our name Himelhoch. Interestingly enough, everyone called it Himelhoch. And we even had some old ads back in the day for pantyhose, and they were called Himelhoch.
Oh, that's right.
But anyway, I just found some great, just these great quotes online in different discussion forums, and I printed out a couple. Here's one. This was from a forum called Discuss Detroit. That was one of the most elegant stores on Washington. They had a small section on the first floor that sold home accessories like vases and crystal stemware. I still have some champagne flutes I purchased there. Here's another one. When my oldest sister got married, my mother bought my dress at Himelhoch downtown. It was so beautiful and special. I was 8, but I always remember how it made me feel. And I can go on and on. There's all this great stuff out there.
I got it.
Ah,
Yeah.
So, hi, John.
Yeah.
Welcome. It's so great to see
Nice
you.
to see you there.
This is wonderful.
So when I was in high school at Cass Tech, here's another story. In the late '60s, I had an after-school job downtown as a messenger, and the place I worked was in the old Metropolitan Building, which was right off of Woodward on John R. A block south of Himelhoch. And one of the things I did every day was cut through Himelhoch to get from Washington Boulevard to Woodward, because it was a great shortcut and saved me some time in getting around. My recollections of all that are the people who were shopping there were happy. They were excited to be there. The clothes were always high fashion. I always thought it was a little bit better than Hudson's in a lot of ways. Just sort of in general, I would go to Hudson's and look for things, but Himelhoch's was like another step above, and that's kind of my recollection of what the store was like.
Well, in general, I mean, certainly I have my recollection, but as I searched the internet for terms that people use, there was a common theme, some common themes like chic, elegant, fashion forward. Those were some of the terms, and it's interesting also because if we go back historically, this was in the days when if you went to a department store, it was different department stores had unique collections. For instance, if we worked with our designers, the collection at Himelhoch you weren't going to find elsewhere at other stores in Michigan. You might find them in some other states, but when you went into Himelhoch, you were going to have a unique collection. We often had we had fashions and even home goods, but that were unique. They were they gave people the ability to express their individuality in unique ways through having chic and elegant type of fashions. So I don't know. That's sort of the background of as we began thinking about starting the store again, and we started to think about, well, what does it mean, and what does it mean to people, because the brand is still alive. So then it started to kind of take on a momentum of its own.
There's kind of a place and time right now that there's a need for a store like ours.
Well, and also there's just all this cool stuff happening in Detroit right now.
Right.
Yeah, there's this just this this rich fashion design industry that's upcoming in Detroit. So I don't know. We ended up getting in touch with Design Core Detroit, Bonnie Fahum over there. Right. And we learned a lot from her.
There's this hidden fashion design industry that's building in Detroit. And, we've gotten to know several of these folks, and the work they're doing is amazing. They're trying hard to build their small businesses into viable brands. And it's really remarkable what we're finding out. And I think what we're discovering is what we're able to contribute to this is the marketing expertise and the web design work that we know a lot about to help us kind of help them connect.
Well,
to
and let me back up so the context. We need to explain first of all that.
I stepped on the story.
Well, you fast forwarded a little bit, but that's all right. So there's all this design initiative going on in Detroit. UNESCO actually designated Detroit a city of design. It's the only city in the United States with that designation. Think of it. There's
That's right.
Milan, there's Paris, and here's Detroit.
And I think, if I might say,
Yeah.
the reason that Detroit got that is we have such a rich automotive design history, 100 years of that. We have some of the best mid-century architecture anywhere in the country. So we have all that rich architectural history, and then the fashion. Himelhoch was on Vogue magazine more than once.
Multiple times. Yeah.
On the cover, and just nationally known. So Detroit really has a rich history of design, and that's kind of coming back.
Well, and it's interesting too, because if you think about it, there's all these upcoming designers in Detroit right now, and historically, Himelhoch has supported and helped to launch the careers of many famous designers. My great uncle Herman was this just brilliant, amazing, talented merchant. He was one of these people who could, with his eyes closed, just run his hand over fabric and evaluate it. And back then, people would, like my family, would work with designers to help them put their lines together. Often, for example, my great uncle Herman would get a hold of fabrics and furs, and then work with the piece goods and the setups for the merchandise that they were designing. In 1926, there was one of the largest coat manufacturers in the country, Henry Fredericks, was on the verge of going bankrupt. And my Uncle Herman was on a steamship over to Paris, and he saw this need for what became the steamer coat. And he worked with Henry Fredericks. The steamer coat was this, if you think back to the 1920s, it had this long tubular silhouette. It was a tweed fabric, and then it had this dramatic long fox shawl collar. So anyway, that just energized Henry Fredericks' career, made him a very wealthy man. Also, there's, believe it or not, Calvin Klein, my dad, when he was a coat buyer for Himelhoch. Calvin Klein was just starting his early career. He was designing coats and suits, and my dad believed in him, and my dad believed in his designs, and so he decided to back him by carrying his line in the store. And at that point, it was in the 40s, but so we had some branch stores as well, and that helped to launch Calvin Klein's career. Even Estee Lauder, cosmetic line, when she was getting going, we invited her, and she helped to launch her line by, hi Marta, oh, welcome. She came to our store, spent a week in our store, launching and introducing her line, training salespeople because that's something that our salespeople would deeply understand, the lines and the merchandise that they were selling. So that was just a base requirement to be able to sell at the store. So anyway, and there's many other examples like that, but we have a history of helping designers launch their careers. Hello, Jody. So anyway, this is an exciting time in Detroit, and we have some upcoming designers locally here who are can use a little boost in getting their careers started. So we're just in the process of starting to work with some of these designers and bring them on board. And Design Core Detroit, Bonnie Fahum, has just been amazing in putting us in contact with all this design talent that's here. So we're slowly
and the
building.
reception we're getting from people is amazing. It's like, some of these designers have been looking for someone to help them make the final step from what they're doing to a broader marketplace.
Absolutely.
And we're, it's like, okay, we have, it's like, this is what we can do for these folks. So that's going to be fun.
and it feeds into our desire to want to help the community and to build the community. And that's part of a historical value of the family and of the family business.
Sure does.
So what's really cool about these designers too that we're linking up with, we call them our fashion partners. They are, many of them make one-of-a-kind pieces. And so you know that you buy something from their collection, you're not going to see it everywhere. It's going to be unique.
Right.
It's going to be very individual. It makes an individual fashion statement. We have designers who are coming on board not only in clothing, but we have home goods and furniture makers, and it's just really exciting where this is all going. Yeah.
So a custom bicycle manufacturer in Detroit.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Some beautiful custom furniture. One person takes reclaimed wood from abandoned buildings and makes these beautiful pieces. Another person makes some really wonderful modern collections. They haven't completely come on board yet, but they're on the way. We have people who make their own fabrics, and it's just so we're going to get a lot of one-of-a-kind pieces and some ability to make some custom orders, and all of this is part of what I think is fun about the energy that's here. And another thing about these designers is that you can feel really good about supporting them because they're very ethical. A lot of them are using, we have Brianna Williams, for instance. She's already up selling baby and toddler clothes on the website, and her clothes are made from organic materials, organic cotton. She was the inspiration for her is she had a daughter with eczema, and she needed to find clothing that worked with her daughter's skin. And so she's created the most adorable boho fashions for
baby
children.
Boho, that's pretty funny.
And we have the elegant Dana Keaton with her and her beautiful fashions, haute couture, and Visual Noise Detroit. Dawn Smith has she makes these beautiful, fun clothing that she's it's handmade to order, and one-of-a-kind pieces, and she hand crochets some of her work. So she's coming on board. We have a lot of people coming on board, so we're getting really excited.
And that'll be all another video, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sure as we start to
as
we start to get into it, we'll be sharing more of what people are doing.
Right.
Hello, Dave.
Hi, Dave. Yeah.
So
that's kind of how this came about. It's we just kind of been thinking about it for years, and the time is right, and we're really excited by the reception we're getting throughout Detroit about this.
That's part of what's happened with the momentum that's happened. We had this idea, and then every time we start to talk to people about this, there's no resistance. There's only just, oh my gosh, this is exciting.
It's a great idea. And they hand us off to somebody else. You need to meet this person. You need to meet that person.
Yeah. So it's just snowballing. We're having a blast with it. And my brother's involved also. He couldn't be here today.
Right.
My dad, who's 99 and a half years old.
Yes, he is.
We have designated him President Emeritus.
He is the President Emeritus.
And he's excited about what we're doing also, and we still consult him
He's
for
very
his
cute.
wisdom.
When we were explaining this to him, he got up out of the chair and it's like, well, let me get my coat. Let's go down to the store. I'll help out.
It's a little challenging for him to understand the online component of
the
this.
internet business doesn't make sense to him. But luckily, we've been doing this for years, so we get it. So, we've been living the online life for years. Yes,
so,
we have.
I am honored that to see those of you who've joined us, and I guess. Before we close, would anyone care to ask any questions that we haven't covered or thought about sharing? welcome any questions if you have some. I think you can only type it in the comments area. I don't think we can hear you.
And I'm not sure about lag time. We're still technically trying to figure out Facebook Live. This is our first one, if you can't tell.
I think it shows.
Yeah, it kind of shows. So I think there's a lag time from what I see on the computer, which is what I'm doing when I'm looking over this way. And,
Marta, wonderful to see this. Oh, it's wonderful to see you, Marta. Thank you. Marta, I know you have a lot of talent too. We should talk.
So, I think we've kind of run out of steam at this point, haven't we?
I think we have.
Okay.
But thank you
Thank
all
you all.
for
Thank you.
your
Yeah.
kindness in joining
That's
us.
so nice of you.
We're going to be trying to do some kind of live type of programming weekly.
This is must-see TV.
Oh, yeah.
11 o'clock on Monday.
So
right
we'll keep
here.
you informed.
Do we know what we're doing next week?
Actually, yes. And
Oh.
next Monday, 11 a.m., I am going to be interviewing a woman named
that's
Anita
right.
Banks. She ran into her in the process of all this, and she was just raving about how excited she was that Himelhoch is back. And so I thought
she was a repeat shopper back in the day,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yes.
She went all the time. So
I
it's
thought
going to be reminiscing kind of with her.
And I thought it would be fun not only to hear her experiences as a customer, but also to just let's visit what Detroit used to be like when she used to shop there. I thought it would be fun to hear some of those stories.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
and Megan,
Okay.
all right, I guess that's it.
I think we're done.
So thanks
Thanks
so
a lot.
much, and if we're lucky, we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a
Appreciate it.
great day, everyone.
Have a good week. Bye now.
Bye bye.